Hi class. We are going to talk about array as a member variable in a class. So you have seen that we have used array in terms of creating class objects. How about within the class? Can we use it as a member variable? Which of course is yes. That's why we are having this video. The array, like before, it can be of any data type that comes originally, like an int or a double, but it also can be an array of another class. We are going to talk about the temperature list, which is in your textbook. It's a small little one that is pretty simple, and this is going to be actually you are going to implement the same but changing this to a dynamic array, which is the topic for the next video. But right now we are going to talk about it in terms of just a regular array. So you see the private member variables. There are two. It's the list, which is an array of doubles, and then the size of the list is just however many records there are in the list that is valid. We have used a constant to make sure that it's always like 50 records and no more, and that's why we have a full member function to return a true or false if the list is already full. There's only 4 member functions, or actually there's 3 member functions and 1 friend function. The first one is a constructor, second one is add temperature, just add a record. Third, we already talked about. Fourth, or this one is a overloading of the this is the insertion operator that will print out the list of temperatures, basically. Just want to remind you that that's our focus is the member variable as an array. So let's look at the code. So I didn't compile it separately because this is a very small program, and I think it's easier maybe for you to go back and forth to, and this is what you're used to. So to just look at the implementation part of the temperature list class, here it's something new for you. We use a colon and then the name of the private variable, and then initiate it with a integer 0 to say that size equals to 0. That's the how many members there are in the temperature list. This is the default instructor, so default there's nothing inside. We might want to remind you, just in case, you need the class and then colon when you are implementing the member functions. You see that as a friend function, you actually don't need that. The add temperature function will add a record to the list. So if it's full, then you say, hey, there's an error. If there's space, then you just add that to the end of the list and then increment size by 1. The full is very simple. You just return if size is equals to the maximum list size, and it's a const function because it doesn't actually it doesn't change the element or change anything in the private member variables. Look at, you have to match it like this when you are using the const. And then for the overloading insertion variable, you see how we are if you finish the last assignment, we actually talked about it in the last module, you will actually have to return the out and the and then in this part, you are using the object, right? You're printing out the object's list members from 0 to the size or less, one size -1, and then we will print out a Fahrenheit. So let's look at what the program does. It create temp A and then add 2 temperatures to it, and then print out temp A, and then we empty out the temp list because we know that it only sets the size to 0. And so now there should be no temperature, and then when we print temp A, there should be nothing actually outputting. Let us run the program. Or maybe you can just see we ran the program already. 23.5 Fahrenheit and 24.6 is what we put in the list, so it print out from the beginning to the end. After we set the list, there's no temperature. That's what we see out, and that's why nothing actually print out after that. So to recap, we have used an array as a member variable in a class. It's pretty simple because that's basically what we how we use it. And then let me see if I missed something. No, we didn't. So to recap, this is how we use an array as a member variable. And to remind you, temperature list class will be in your lab 12-1. Your task is to change that array into a dynamic array, but you would read more in the lab assignment. So we are going to talk about dynamic array next.